Oh, hey there. Come on in. We're just about to start. Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian, a fun weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy lifestyle. I'm Rob, and together with my wife Sandra, we invite you to join us on this informative and entertaining journey through the complex world of healthy eating.
Join us each week as we strive to help you with transforming your overall health and relationship with food through up-to-date, evidence-based nutrition information.
Today we're interviewing dietitian and swim coach Katie Schimmelpfenning from Eat, Swim, Win. Katie has some interesting perspectives on swimming and coaching from her experience with college-level swimming.
So right now I'm working with mostly 11, 12, 13-year-olds, and parents put so much pressure on their kiddos already at that age to start working towards sealing a scholarship. And so as a coach and as a dietitian, I'm always trying to, check in with them, like, did you eat before practice today? Are you fueled today? Or how are you doing? Are you still enjoying the sport? Is there something that we need to do to adjust to make this more fun? Because I think something that's not talked about a lot in sports, especially sports like swimming, is how do we ensure longevity in sport? How do we keep it fun so that they're in it for the long run and they're not burning out at 15, 16?
Stay with us for this engaging discussion. Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Rob.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. We're interviewing Katie from Eat, Swim, Win.
Ah,
today.
Fun. Yeah.
Based in Hawaii.
Ooh. We should have done the interview there.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What were we thinking? Next time.
Well, for female swim athletes, body image, underfueling, and disordered eating can be a huge barrier for happiness and success. Katie was a college-level swimmer and is now a dietitian swim coach. She has a blog, Eat, Swim, Win, with the intention of supporting swimmers to have a positive relationship with food and longevity in their sport.
Right on. It sounds like a bit of a continuation from our interview with Lizzie Briasco from last week.
Yeah, and they actually know each other, which is the coolest thing to find out.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So this is more of an insider look, I guess, because Katie is a swim coach and she's still involved in sports, whereas Lizzie was working with retired athletes. So similar information, but a little bit different perspective. So it will be interesting to hear what Katie has to say.
And that's actually why we decided to do like a part 2 here.
Yeah, back to back.
Yeah, it's kind of the continuation, as you said.
It's the sequel. There we go. All right. So we will go find Katie down in Hawaii and get chatting with her.
Hi, we're here with Katie from Eat, Swim, Win. Katie, tell us who you are and who you help.
Hi, Sandra. Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me on. So my name is Katie Schimmelpfenning. I'm a registered dietitian specialized in working with athletes that have eating disorders. Specifically, I love working with swimmers. So at this time, I'm blogging on eatswimwin.com and connecting with swimmers there. I'm also a swim coach. I've been coaching swimming for the last 10 years.
Wow. I've
coached swimmers age 5 to 85, I think is probably my oldest swimmer that I've ever coached.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's fun. And I also work in a private practice called Innate Living. Right now, I'm contracted with University of Hawaii at Manoa, which is my alma mater. That's where I swam competitively in college.
Nice.
Did you say University of Hawaii?
Yeah.
Cool. You're over in Hawaii. That is so awesome.
Yeah. So it's been really awesome to serve some of the athletes and work with some of the coaches that I grew up competing for and whatnot. So yeah, I've really been enjoying that work. It's been really life-giving.
That's amazing. And you are a swimmer yourself, I presume, right? Like you did competitive swimming, you said, and
yeah, I did. I swam competitively in college at University of Hawaii at Manoa. I started swimming when I was around 10, but towards the end of college, I was definitely feeling more fried and I think burnt out. I started to realize, oh, wait, swimming's not going to pay my bills. I know that sounds horrible, but I think coaching and serving swimmers through nutrition has definitely helped to rekindle my love for the sport.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like you have a passion for the topic, like just to help athletes, swimmers specifically, with their nutrition. And is there anything else, like in terms of like the messaging out there on the internet or from coaches about, the whole, I don't know, kind of like a disordered eating kind of pattern for swimmers? We've had other guests on, and that's been a theme. Just recently, we had
Lizzie Briasco, another
Thank you.
dietitian that works with athletes. Yeah, and she was telling us about how common the eating disorders are with athletes, just based on everything's so performance based, and you got to eat this and eat that and not eat this and not eat that in order to, perform at your best. And there's just eating disorders galore.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the sport of swimming, where you are showing so much skin.
True.
That's been one reason that I felt this kind of like drive to step up and coach when I can, is essentially to be a role model for not only all swimmers, but especially those female athletes. I think there's not very many female coaches in most sports, but especially swimming. And I think that there's a lot of, not to throw you under the bus here, Rob, but there's a lot of male coaches who feel very comfortable talking about female athletes' bodies and somehow connecting that with their performance, when there is no research to support being in a smaller body or any specific type of body is going to be better for performance. In fact, for swimmers, we have seen in the research that having extra body fat percentage helps with buoyancy, helps them to float, helps them to perform in the water. So yeah, that's been something that's been really helpful. And also just helping my athletes and other athletes that I work with to set boundaries with coaching staff, as far as, saying things like, you don't know my body. My body you can't look at someone and tell how good of an athlete they are, totally. Right? And the research supports that. So I think as a coach, one thing I really try to do is promote fun in sport, because ultimately it is supposed to be for fun, and promote more confidence and help athletes develop more body awareness versus like shutting out their needs and only thinking about nutrition for performance, but instead, no, food is so much more than just fuel. It's meant to be enjoyed. You're supposed to have nutrition. Even when you're not hungry after practice, you still need to refuel. So things like that.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, I love, like, on your website, you have promote this, like one of your missions is promote fun and flow in sports. And I hear that shine through in what you're saying. It's just, that's awesome. I love that messaging. And I love that you're a role model for those athletes that, you used to be in their shoes or in their bathing suit, and you had coaches saying things to you. So you are that person that you wished you had when you were young and you were in your sport as the athlete in college. That's so awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's been one of the most fun things, even just like at the meet I was previously at, is I think sometimes even parents try to healthify their kids' diet and put so much pressure on these young athletes. So right now I'm working with mostly 11, 12, 13-year-olds, and parents put so much pressure on their kiddos already at that age to start working towards sealing a scholarship. And so as a coach and as a dietitian, I'm always trying to, check in with them. Like, did you eat before practice today? Are you fueled today? Or I see that they're maybe struggling in practice, and I'll check in, like, did you have a snack before this? And also ask them, like, how are you doing? Are you still enjoying the sport? Is there something that we need to do to adjust to make this more fun? Because I think something that's not talked about a lot in sports, especially sports like swimming, is how do we ensure longevity in sport? How do we keep it fun so that they're in it for the long run and they're not burning out at 15, 16?
Totally. I love that. That makes so much sense. I mean, it's the long game, and you want to make sure that people are having fun or they won't continue to do it. Because that's like, that resonates with any sport and anyone doing their, even not an athlete, someone who's trying to get healthier with more movement in their day, if they pick an activity that they love and they enjoy, they're more likely to stay with it and keep, have it into their habits and their routines. And then that'll help them be healthier in terms of their, physical activity. So it totally makes sense that this is part of your mission too, to help with swimming athletes to have fun and have more flow in their sport so that they will continue to show up and they'll continue to enjoy it and want to continue, instead of having parents that you said healthify their diet. I love that, because then it's like the focus is all about, you've got to eat like all these certain things and make sure that, your body's a certain size and shape. And that's such, I don't know, negative messaging, and can be so harmful, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think with coaches, like you were mentioning before, and parents, they look at their child or whoever the athlete is as a product, like as a machine, and they don't think of them as, a human, emotional, feeling kind of creature. They just look at performance and what can we do to maximize performance, and they don't think about, maybe their messaging and the body shaming through their help, quote unquote, and the effects that has on the child or the athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just society as a whole, right, oftentimes just views athletes as athletes alone, but there's so much more than that. And I think that's one of my goals too, just as a dietitian, as a coach, is this is one slice of your life, right? There's so much more. I think that swimming taught me so much about resilience and consistency, right? Even for you and I, Sandra, in the blogging game, it's taught me some things on trying to be more consistent with posting and connecting with my audience. But most definitely, my goal with Eat, Swim, Win is to try and break down some of those, I would say, myths out there on the internet, that swimmers need to feel this way and need to eat like this in order to have a, quote, swimmer's body, and just really highlight that there is no such thing as a swimmer's body. A swimmer's body is someone that shows up, throws on a swimsuit, and is ready to have some fun and do so fueled, right? So just trying to promote, like, most swimmers don't need to be wrapped up in, oh, do I need to get this low sugar this or this low fat this? Most swimmers are, quite frankly, not eating enough. So my goal as a dietitian working with swimmers is just, how can we eat more? I think I'm sure you guys have heard of Michael Phelps, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, for sure.
So there was a New York Times article back when he was competing in the Olympics. It said something like, the junk food that Michael Phelps consumes in a day to fuel his performance. And he was consuming like 10,000 calories per day. But what they had highlighted was junk food. And I thought that was, at the time, oh man, we're not supposed to be eating those foods as an athlete myself. But here's Michael Phelps, an Olympian, having waffles, peanut butter with syrup and spaghetti. Like, these aren't junk foods. All foods are fuel. And I think even the media will find a way to demonize a gold medalist Olympian's diet. So just really trying to work to promote the nutrition science so that athletes know, hey, all foods fit on your plate. It's more important that you're eating enough, the quantity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so much that you guys as dietitians do to undo what the media has, like the false information the media has put out there. It's a full-time job, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also diet culture. I mean, it just sounds like that's part of it too, is just helping your athletes to kind of navigate the society and the diet culture that, especially as an athlete and a swimmer, showing more of their body, and the messaging of a swimmer's body, which isn't a thing. It sounds like that's part of what your mission is, and how you help people is just that, to help people fuel themselves well and also have food as part of their social and pleasure and just part of their life, and instead of just being the main focus of, calorie counting and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tend to take a little bit more of a different approach in private practice when I'm working with younger athletes. I tend to work with a lot of teen athletes struggling with eating disorders. And I think that there's some dietitians out there that, are supposed to say like sport is the problem. We absolutely just need to take them out of sports. But when I'm working with an athlete, if this is a sport that they really enjoy and want to compete in a healthy manner, my goal is to like, how can we combat and fight against that eating disorder so that they get to get back into the pool and feel what it's like to swim fueled and recovered. So a lot of times when I'm working with athletes, like I use sport as motivation for recovery. And some of those athletes, we also do a lot of like deep diving into, do you actually like this sport, or were you only engaging in this sport?
Sorry.
Yeah. Look at those puns I'm putting in there for you, Sandra. We'll do some like deep diving into, do you actually enjoy this sport, or are you feeling pressure to continue to compete in this sport? Or if you don't enjoy the sport, what would it take? How would you need to do things differently so that you do have joy in movement again? And for some of them, they find that the sport was fueling and too intertwined with their eating disorder, and they need to step away, and that's okay. And I think that's such a brave and bold decision. But for others, they realize, hey, actually, what was I thinking? The eating disorder, stems from maybe nothing to do with sport, and they come back fueled slowly. I like to use a fields approach. So we'll walk through like the frequency. Once they have weight restored, the frequency in which they can enter the pool or whatever practice they're doing. And then we'll go over the intensity. So I'll have them check in with me. What was your rate of perceived exertion? What are we going to stick with? So 1 to 10, 1 being super easy, 10 being you're super out of breath. It was super hard. When they're first getting back into it after weight restoration, typically we go in with a much lower rate of perceived exertion and lower frequency. And then energy, we'll talk about, okay, if you're going to return to sport, it's going to demand more energy of you, especially for swimmers. So we have to have a Cliff Bar or Fig Newtons. Carbs are so important for energizing our muscles. So what are you going to have beforehand? And then I'll walk them through like length, how long are we going to commit to as you return? 10, 15 minutes, not like, I'll ask them, do you like it? Do you enjoy it? Then duration, I jumped ahead. How long are you going to compete in that for? And then sports. So that's kind of my fields, return to sport. Of course, once the athlete has medical clearance. And I find that, it's been really fun, especially out here in Hawaii, having been a coach the last 10 years. I started working with some kiddos when they were 5 years old, teaching them how to swim when I was still in college, and to see them grow up is really awesome. And to hear them advocating for like, I heard at a meet recently a dad say, are you really going to eat that? And they had like a Skittles. Are you really going to eat that before you swim? And I heard the swimmer say, you want to take that up with Coach Katie? So I am very much all foods fit. If it agrees with you before you swim, yes, you can eat snacks at practice. Yeah. And so I think it's been a really beautiful thing to see even some of the athletes that I worked with when they were teens who have since recovered, to see them go on to compete in college, and to see them, competing in high school. It's really awesome.
Oh my God, Katie, the impact that you are having is so incredible. That must be so satisfying to see these athletes from when they were 5 years old, and you still like now you're helping them as a teen athlete. And I love that they have like taken to heart your approach and what you're saying, and that all foods fit. And this is I wish there was way more. We need to clone you, Katie.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
It really is a good combination, like you as a dietitian and your background and your knowledge of nutrition, being a coach, because there's not enough of that. I mean, like I said before, coaches tend to look at the athlete as a machine and not as a human, right? So you're sort of taking in the whole realm of everything, and that's a really positive combination.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think if you talk to like a lot of sports dietitians, I know you said that you recently interviewed Lizzie, who I used to message her on Instagram. She's phenomenal.
Oh, cool.
I think she works with mostly retired athletes, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think that's not talked about either. Just the high percentage of eating disorders in retired athletes, but even in season athletes. And I think a lot of sports dietitians find that you have to build relationships with coaches, because a lot of times the coaches are, not all of them, but many of them are kind of creating this culture and some of these problems and pressures. And so I felt like, okay, I'll just become the coach then and try to dismantle diet culture in sports and promote more, body confidence and just fun in sport.
Yes.
If you could give advice to the parents, because it sounds like the issues for athletes and in this realm are coming sort of through the messages that coaches and parents are giving to their kids and the athletes. Is there anything that from your position that you could offer advice? Like what would you tell them to change, or what do you see needs to be changed?
Yeah, I think for parents, I just can recognize that all parents are coming in with good intentions and absolutely working to do their best for their athlete and for their kiddo. But I would say,
back off.
Yeah, some parents, I think it's, why are you trying to get something out of your child doing this sport? I think sometimes parents are trying to live vicariously through their child. And I think stepping back and honoring and giving your child some autonomy and realizing that like the sport is for them, not necessarily the parent. And really
Exactly.
back off, not so much pressure. I see athletes perform much better when there's not so much pressure, when it's fun, when they're able to get in that state of flow. And it's hard to do that if you have your parent, behind the swimming block saying, okay, you better go a good time because I paid a lot for you to be at this meet.
Right.
That type of pressure, it's not helpful. And so I would say, be less involved, but also be involved with the nutrition, have snacks readily available. If your kid's younger, especially, make sure that when they get out of practice, you either have a cooler in the car or you're helping them prepare a snack for when they do finish. That's one of the best things that they can do for recovery and start learning at a young age is like food is going to fuel recovery, food is going to fuel performance, no matter if it's a pack of Skittles or a banana. Some carbs is better than no carbs. So I think that parents really have the power also to start promoting that nutrition and importance of fueling no matter what food for sport.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. That's awesome. We ask every guest the same question, and I want to ask you because it kind of lets the listeners know more about, what you like to eat. So when you go to a potluck, what dish do you bring?
Yeah, so I actually have celiac disease, which was a whole other thing to navigate with college swimming,
man.
and one of my interests in becoming a dietitian. So I have to eat gluten-free. Luckily, I have wonderful family and friends that look out for me. But when in doubt, I bring a gluten-free Instant Pot mac and cheese. The secret
Yum.
ingredient is Frank's Red Hot Buffalo sauce, like a tablespoon of that.
Love it.
Oh my gosh,
Yep.
delicious.
I love
That's
it.
a staple in our fridge. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so funny. Lizzie Briasco, we interviewed her a couple weeks ago, and the dish that she would bring to a potluck is her homemade mac and cheese.
Oh, geez.
That's awesome. Yours just is gluten-free, though.
It's classic.
That-
You can't go wrong with mac and cheese.
Totally.
And like I said to her, everyone makes it different. So they're completely different. If they're side by side on the table at a potluck, I'd have both and they'd both be amazing.
Yep. Oh, I appreciate that.
That is so awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Katie. This has been super informative. And I see that you have passion and in your messaging and when you're assisting athletes and helping in your work. Like I can see that you are driven in this work, and it's so awesome that you can have the lifestyle where you're helping people, you're making impact, and you're making a living doing it. Plus you get to travel to Fiji and all these awesome places. You're in Hawaii. Oh my gosh. I think this is so awesome to hear what you do and who you are.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Sandra and Rob. And absolutely, I think if there's any swimmers or former athletes listening, when you're in, especially collegiate sports, it's very regimented. So I felt like once I was done with sport, I just couldn't wait to have more flexibility and flow in my life. And I feel like being a sports dietitian and getting to work with swimmers has allowed me to do that, as well as, blogging. So it's been really an awesome adventure. And I'm grateful for everything that swimming has taught me. And I appreciate you guys for having me on and giving me the chance to share that.
Not a problem. It was great talking to you. Can you give us a bit of information about where people can find you, your social media, website, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So you can find my website, www.eatswimwin.com. I also have an Instagram account that's not extremely active. I don't love being tied to my phone, I'm going to be honest. But you can find me at eatswimwin at eatswimwin. I think it might have periods in between. I should probably know that. And you can find me on Pinterest as well.
Perfect. Right on. Well, we'll encourage people to check that out. We'll put your information in our show notes.
When I Googled you, because it was pretty easy to find you online, actually, I just put Katie, like with an IE, Katie, Eat, Swim, Win, and you came up right away, your website, everything. So you must be, the traffic must be going there. You're blogging. Obviously, you have lots of articles on there. I noticed that, and they're awesome information for people.
Thank you.
So,
thank you. Yes,
yeah,
I've had some swimmers actually email me and thank me for some of the information. So that's been super rewarding, and I'm hoping to continue to put more content out there to spread the science, dismantle diet culture, and get swimmers fueled and having fun.
Yes, I love it.
Great messaging.
Oh, totally. And what, just to have people, the feedback like that, that's awesome. Oh my God, that just it fuels you up to want to write more and get more topics for people.
Absolutely. The goal is to try and, make as big of an impact as possible. And I feel like blogs are much more far reaching. So that's been helpful. But I'm glad to know that you typed in Katie and it came up. I don't know if you're aware of my last name, Schimmelpfenning. It's like 16 letters.
That's not an easy one.
No. So I try to tell people, okay, Katie, eat, swim, win. Just cut off the last name. I know it's a long one. It's a doozy.
No doubt.
It's all good. No, it worked easily. I found you so easily. So, because I know we've been on Zoom calls in the past, in the last couple of months on a different thing, but that's why I'm like, I gotta look your website up, and I really wanted to talk to you because I saw your articles and I thought, this is so amazing, the work you're doing and the impact you're having, and I just wanted to share that with the listeners so people can check you out.
Thanks so much, Sandra, and thanks so much, Rob.
That's awesome. Well, I was just going to say, we'll let you get back into the beautiful Hawaii landscape and ocean and beautiful flora. Oh,
yeah. Nice spot down there. We'll have to come visit someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, thanks for spending your time with us today, Katie. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and we'll talk to you again soon.
What an enjoyable conversation.
Yeah, that was pretty in-depth. It was a lot like the one with Lizzie, but from a totally different perspective. It was interesting to hear from someone who's still involved and from a coach's perspective.
Yeah. And then after we stopped recording, she mentioned a story from her freshman year in college and how a coach, just after she finished her swim and she got out of the pool, and the coach basically looked at her and said, "What a bleep wasted space for the scholarship," basically saying that she was not adequate, and just such a...
She said she finished half a second slower than her personal best or than her regular time or something. She did really, really well, but she didn't win, and the coach just gave her that comment. She's like, holy cow.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. She is such a strong woman to take that kind of abuse in a way,
it's totally abuse.
And she grew and thrived out of that because that was her freshman year, and she's been coaching for 10 years. So yeah, and she's a strong woman. I just love what she's doing in the world. And as I said to her, we need to clone people like Katie, just all the impact she's making and the positive impact on tomorrow's athletes, really.
Yeah. I mean, comments like that are going to make people want to leave sports that day. They're going to just want to hang up their swimsuit or their whatever their sport is and say, okay, well, why there's no incentive. Why would I keep going if that's the kind of feedback I'm going to get when I don't perform my best? It's so ridiculous that
I can't believe there's coaches and people, adults in these influential roles saying comments like that to young people. It boggles my mind.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it's more common than rare. So yeah, hopefully that was eye-opening for people to hear what she had to say. And
yeah, it'd be great for people to check out eatswimwin.com and see all of her great blog articles and the work she's doing and connect with Katie that way.
Yeah. And if you're not an athlete, because I realize that not everyone who listens to this is a college level athlete, but we all have influence on people in our lives. And, you know, in the big picture, we all need to be treated with respect, whether you're an athlete or not. And parents of athletes, you know, like Katie was saying, it's just your influence is very important in their pursuit of their sport, and you need to be positive and not be like
a helicopter parent, and like give them space, she said, and maybe like help with their nutrition by having a cooler in the car and snacks available and helping them make decisions about, you know, the different types of meals that they want and snacks they want, and helping that way instead of, you know, pushing and the pressure and the, you know, do better next time kind of messages.
Yeah. Just have a look, stand back and have a look at maybe how you are supporting, because most parents feel like they're doing the right thing and they're doing a good job. But, you know, once you step outside of the box and have a look in, maybe you'll change a few things, and maybe not. Maybe you're doing a great job already. And if you are, that's awesome. So
yeah. And I love her message, promote fun and flow in sports.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Help keep people in their sport for the long term. So it's not just getting fed up and exhausted and feeling
frustrated, just hopeless,
or that it's like they can never achieve what the expectations are. Yeah. You know, for a coach to say that to her, I mean, that's amazing that she got over that hurdle.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. All right. Well, what do we have coming up next week?
Well, with all the air advisory and air quality advisories coming out through the summer, we're going to talk all about eating and breathing and nutrition and lung disease. So the essentials for life, eating and breathing, and how food and diet can affect breathing.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, that'll be an eye-opening one too, because I don't really know how that's all related, but we will find out.
Yeah.
So that's next Monday, right?
That's right.
Right. And then we have a nutrition nuggets in between coming up on Wednesday. So we'll be back for that. And you can also check out our social media pages. And where are we? It's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can check out the website. There's lots of new blog articles up there as well. That's mywifethedietitian.com. If you have questions or comments for us or ideas for the show or things you want us to talk about, you can email us your question at mywifetherd@gmail.com.
Yeah, and we got a great blog article just posted this past week on Greek yogurt versus regular. It's an episode we did a few weeks back on nutrition nuggets, and the blog article that goes with it. It's a good one. It's very comprehensive. So if you want just more information on that, look at that.
All righty. And don't forget to rate and review the show. That's always helpful for us to keep things going here. So we appreciate what you can do in that regard.
Yeah, that's a really easy way to help, is just go to your podcast provider and just give us 5 stars or send us a quick little email, mywifetherd@gmail.com, or give us a little review. That's really helpful too, because then that helps with other people finding this podcast.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming out, everyone. We appreciate your support, and we will be back on Wednesday.
Thanks, Rob. Eat, swim, win. Eat, swim, win.
Thanks for joining us today on My Wife the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.